The 14th season for Formula Drift is coming to a close, and so is the track that helped make drifting famous, Irwindale Speedway. The sun is setting on the House of Drift after some of the greatest and most memorable moments since its inception. But the story is not over just yet, as we haven't crowned a 2017 champion, and as James Dean seems like the likely winner, Frederick Osbo still has an outside chance to win his second. It's all on the line for drivers to make their mark in history, only on Formula Drift Insider. Before the party starts at the House of Drift, let's look back at our previous round at Texas Motor Speedway, where a driver is really starting to forge a championship.
2 back-to-back events, qualifying first and finishing first was just incredible. There's been luck involved too, like in Texas at the last round, the top 16, we went up against probably one of the fastest guys on track, Irwindale, and he broke a diff right on initiation on the first corner, so that gave me a run through to the top 8 quite easy.
I felt great coming into Texas, very quickly got the car dialed, ready for battle, and I felt it was our event to win. Unfortunately, my battle to Chris Forsberg, he smoked me out pretty heavy going up the hill, and I was fully blind, flew off the course, got back on, finished the chase run, but had it incomplete on that run. On my lead run, threw it down, had an extremely amazing lead run, put a huge gap on Chris. Chris had a complete straighten up the hill, but the judges did not deem that enough of a straighten to be an incomplete, and we got knocked out of the battle.
Texas was going really well for us, and then it went terribly wrong all of a sudden. So we're running Forsberg, led first, had a really good lead run, gapped him by quite a bit, and still filled all the zones, had good angle and everything. And when we switched spots, I was pretty close to him, exiting the kind of power alley, coming into the wall tire area. Followed him in really deep. He slowed down a bit, got back on the gas, and then slowed down again. And I checked up there, car floated back, and I got into the tire wall and spun me around and ended my run. Judges deemed it as no foul play. In the car, it felt like it was an extra slowdown in an area where you should have been on throttle, but they saw it as clean, and I got knocked out. So that was the end of Texas for me, unfortunately.
So Texas overall went really smooth. The car was working really well. We had some tough battles. We had some more times. You know, it was hard to see through the smoke. And ultimately, I just took myself out. You know, I felt like I could have gone and won maybe the whole event overall. At least I was looking forward to battling James Dean, and I took myself out with Chris Forsberg. Chris drove really well, but his smoke just was unbearable, man. I could not see, and it was either go really hard into that tire wall, which I've seen a lot of drivers go overboard, or transition a little sooner. I transitioned way too soon and just, you know, took myself out basically. So bummer, but at the same time, really good and solid points, and I'm really happy to have gotten on the podium because, you know, this is the most times I've been on the podium in my whole career in one season.
James and I have had some interesting battles this year, and it's been really inspirational and, most importantly, a lot of fun. And we've been going back and forth with him winning the first one, us winning the second one, and now he took it. And I think this time he had the better car, the faster car, whereas we probably had a better car in Canada. From the outside looking in, our top 4 battle with James was a championship decider. James had already been increasing his lead with his Seattle win, and if he would win again, he would definitely be hard to catch going into the final round at Irwindale. So it was a must-win for us, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, so when I was in the final, I really felt like I was having fun, having a good time. The pressure was off. I knew worst case it was a second place finish, and battling Chris again, you know, Chris doesn't play any games, and he's always fully committed while leading. So as a chase driver, you know you can commit 100% while chasing. In my lead run, put down a sweet qualifying line all the way through, got all my clips, nice angle and speed, and we pulled a little gap, and I think that Chris got lost in the smoke before the last transition. It's great to see Chris getting into the final, and I think our car just had a bit more speed than his, and that's what really gave us the advantage and the win in Texas.
For James Dean, back-to-back victories equate to a commanding lead going into the final round at the House of Drift and a stab at a 2017 championship.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By Blackview Dash Cameras. And by Hankook Tire, driving emotion.
A range of emotions fill Irwindale Speedway for the final ever event at this iconic track, the House of Drift. From excitement to anxiety, but mostly pride.
Here we are again, sitting in second place overall, headed into Irwindale. It's a great place to be. We still have a theoretical chance of winning the championship, but it would require for James not to qualify and for us to win the event. We're going to give it everything we've got. It's going to be a really tough battle, but this event in itself is a very special celebration of what has been the House of Drift for more than 10 years.
I mean, I would love to make it into the top 3, but it would, depend on some other drivers not doing as well also for me to get there. So top 5 would be cool, but I want to be on the podium at the end and hopefully on the top spot. As far as the championship goes, I think, just focus on every battle one at a time here and hopefully just make our way up through that and end up, high in the championship and possibly on the podium.
Well, I'm sitting in 3rd place going into Irwindale, which is a good place to be, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of guys that are sitting close to 3rd place. I got Chris Apps a couple points behind me. Vaughn, not too far behind me, and he's always tried to clinch at least top 3 in the series, so I've never had 3rd overall. The past 3 years I've been a top 5, top 4 driver. I gotta work really hard to hang on to 3rd place here. Doing well here would be, there would be a lot of celebrating, to break through into the top 3 overall in the standings.
Currently sitting in 5th place right now, and I'm fighting for that overall 3rd place, and I'm just looking forward to going out with a bang. I want to win this. I want to be the last guy to win at Irwindale Speedway. I want to lock up 3rd place overall in the championship, and most importantly, just have fun and enjoy the electric that this event is. The crowd's amazing, the track is a blast, and the competition just gets nuts.
Last night was my first time driving Irwindale Speedway, and honestly, I never scared myself so much in a car before in my life. It's just the speed and commitment you need to throw it into that wall on the first bank is incredible. Then you come down off the bank onto the inside clip and throw it to the next wall, and every time you just have to feel comfortable that you're not going to end up in the grandstand, because that's the way it feels from inside the car. So you definitely need to build up your confidence, and you have to have a lot of respect for these tracks and drivers the same, because the level is just incredible. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but yeah, I guess you'll see if it happens. I don't know how it's going to feel. I can't even imagine. It's been my dream since I was a kid to win something like this, and this is just, it's insane to be in this position right now. That's all I can say for now.
The final round of Formula Drift begins with the sun's out, guns out. Top 32 action is underway. As the day progresses, it turns into night, but you need to make it past top 32 first.
I just had a battle with Robbie Nishida. He's retiring, so this is his last Formula Drift battle. An amazing, humble gentleman who is a killer when he puts his helmet on. We went out there, had a great battle. I got the victory, but it took a hard fight.
Next battle, Justin Pollock versus the only rotary in battle, Kyle Mohan. Mohan loops it, JTP advances on. In the next battle, Matt Field, the Beast from the Bay, versus the Butcher, Cameron Moore. Cameron Moore bites off a little more than he can chew, meaning that Matt Field advances on to the top 16. The next battle has Dominican Republic driver Jonathan Castro versus Floridian Pat Gooden. Jonathan Castro, having a standout season, takes down Pat Gooden. As Castro shines out front and in the chase position, he moves on.
we had our battle against Hilburn, and I was leading first, and about 3/4 of the way through the lap, the engine sounded like it, or felt like it lost a cylinder, and then it just locked up. So we called 5 minutes to try and diagnose it, but that was it. It's a pretty disappointing way to end our season, and yeah, it's crushing. I've had a lot of success in this track, and it sucks that we're going out this way.
The next battle poses two of the best looking vehicles in the field. Dan Burkett in his Toyota Supra and Christoph Splush behind the wheel of his 2018 BMW competition vehicle. His primary vehicle's engine explodes, causing him to pull the vehicle from the paddock to the track. Dan Burkett and Christoph Splush make contact. That means Christoph Splush will advance on into the 16.
You're gonna kill me.
Go in. Go in.
More battles in the top 32 pose Frederick Osbo versus Farouk Kawai. Frederick Osbo in dominant fashion takes down the NorCal driver. Alec Honadale versus Jeff Jones. Two 240s, both V8s, but only one driver advances on to the top 16. That's Alec Honadale. Finally, an Irish driver gets suited for a bye run of his life. 8 rounds of Formula Drift competition has led him to the House of Drift. With 4 wins overall of the 8 rounds, an unprecedented showing of talent. James the Machine Dean lives up to his name. After a 7-year hiatus, he comes back in dominant fashion. With a #1 out the window, he is your 2017 Formula Drift champion.
There's too much for my mind to take in, you know. First of all, it's an FD event. It's my birthday and championship on the line, so all weekend has been so tense, and I felt like as a whole team, everyone worked together and kept focused on making me feel as comfortable as possible, and now I'm just here to have fun.
And with the championship wrapped up, there's still a winner to be crowned here at Irwindale. Another Irish driver still in competition, Dean Carnage Carney versus Ken Gucci. The OG goes hard into the wall, and upon further investigation, Dean Carnage Carney spills oil on the track. The largest literage vehicle spills its guts, causing Ken Gucci to hit the oil slick and hit the wall.
Not the ideal situation. I didn't cause the crash. It was a mechanical issue that caused the crash.
Yeah, but there was your car.
So, but you were dropping a strip of oil this wide behind you.
Yeah.
So how am I
But that's not my issue. Look, I'm not dropping the oil.
But that's part of the at that point.
With controversy afoot, eventually Ken Gucci is awarded the victory.
So when me and Matt Kaufman had to go out and lay down some killer runs, we knew there was oil on the track. Someone had just spilled a bunch of oil on it, so it was nerve-wracking. We're not sure how slippery it's going to be, and there's K-rail everywhere. I did the best that I could and held it together. I did feel a little bit of slipperiness right across the finish, but then when I turn around, I look over, Matt's in the wall, and that was it for Matt.
The winners in top 32, alongside the top 6 qualifiers, Dio Shihara, Chris Forsberg, Peter Vincic, Michael Essa, James Dean, and our #1 qualifier, Chelsea Denofa, will see battle next in the top 16.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nexen Tire, driving tomorrow. By Gum Out. By Air Force, aim high. And by Universal Technical Institute, chosen by industry, ready to work.
The sun has set, the lights are on, the fans are hyped. The fireworks will be on track and off track to find out who will win at the final ever event at the House of Drift. Our first battle poses 2 Mustang drivers. Chelsea Denofa, on his freshman season under the RTR Motorsports flag, goes against the boss, Vaughn Gittin Jr. And Chelsea Denofa, throwing sparks and a lot of smoke, doesn't have enough rubber on the second run and loses grip. Vaughn Gittin Jr. gets the win.
That was like super good. Hell yeah, good luck, bro. Kill it.
The lead run on the first set of runs was pretty solid, so I wanted to do something similar. Ran it real high at the end of the bank, kind of dropped down mid-bank, but attacked the top of the bank at the end of the bank. Just kept it clean and on throttle through the second outer zone and finished off strong. I saw Matt right on my door.
The only problem with turning the car up and adding grip is that it makes your lead run a little bit more difficult. I dropped a little bit lower on the bank than I should have, and I think that's what did it in for us. He was nice and high. We dropped to the middle. That was it.
First run I led. I just did it, pretty close to my qualifying run. I think it was a pretty good, clean run, and I know he was pretty close to me, but I think he has to shallow up to keep the proximity.
Was a good loss. I'd rather lose this way than losing differently. Just losing with all out.
Well, we were chasing first because he qualified higher than us, so we knew we couldn't give him any space. We knew our car was a little bit faster than his, so we kind of had the advantage out on the first run. So I just went out there, initiated on his door, and kept it there. So
I had to just give it all I got, and he still pulled a length or two on us. So they just have their car pretty hooked up tonight, and just had one on us.
I tried to do my best on my lead run. It wasn't too bad, but then when I was chasing him, I gave a bit of a space at the initiation. It was okay. But then I leave not enough space for a transition, and I make a mistake. I have to cut the track, and I was actually very, very lucky, because then after that the crease stops make also a mistake.
Went against Alec Honadell. He's been on fire all day in practice, and I tried to put down his stellar qual run. I could sense Alec was right there, and as I come off the bank, boom, he crashes right into me. Big deficit for Alec going into the second run. We have a close chase, and we took it moving on into the top 8.
Unfortunately, Ken and Dean couldn't get their cars fixed in time for their top 16 run, and I had no one to battle, so another boy run the top 16. Things are getting crazy out here. It's a scary track.
I chased first going against Mike Essa, and it was good. I gave him a little bit of distance going into the bank, knowing that our car is probably faster. And from there on, just played it safe, trying to close in the gap and kind of leave a little bit of space.
When I was following him, we basically used up almost all the tire on the lead run, so trying to follow a faster car with just no tires left was a struggle. Almost crashed a few times, but kept it together, kept it off the walls, so we got knocked out, but the car is still in one piece, so look at the bright side, I guess.
Formula Drift Insider on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Black Magic. Own your shine. By NOS with Complex 6 for high performance energy. By Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And by Blackview Dash Cameras.
The anticipation and excitement continues here at the House of Drift. We've now whittled it down to the Grade 8. Our first battle is all Mustangs.
Just had a battle with JTP here in the Grade 8, and he's been doing really well this weekend. I was just hoping for no contact given our history this year, and he put down a great lead run. My team told me exactly what he was going to do. I was prepared for everything and stuck to him the best that I could throughout the course, which I thought I was right on his door. In fact, I saw him look back at the last turn and look at me, and I'm like, I'm right here, bro. Moving on, baby.
When I led, I tried to do my qualifying run as usual. I had a little wavily on the bank, so it wasn't as good as I could do, but still decent lead run. And also, I think I copied his line, his angle. So I know it was close. I thought it could be a one more time, but I got moved on.
My goal was to chase him close, but he did to me what I do in Orlando. He absolutely jumped the bank, flew in there light speed, and I wasn't able to cope with that. Had a half spin around the start-finish straight. Gave us a big deficit going into the second run, and even though we had a strong lead run, it wasn't enough.
It was great. I'm very happy. I'm speechless simply. It looks like that I can be on the podium, so no, I cannot believe in it, what just happened.
I knew the battle with Odie was going to be a good one, and in my lead run I just gave it everything, threw it right up in the wall in the first corner. Was really happy with my lead line. It was going all according to plan. Just as we transitioned back, I was back on the power, and I got a really hard hit in the back, and it just sent the car the other direction into the wall. And
unfortunately, his car's rendered useless for the next run. It's damaged, so it all ended there. Third place is not locked in yet. Vaughn still has to battle Dye. They actually just got it one more time. It's a nail biter. If Dye takes out Vaughn, it's pretty much locked in.
28 years of experience, 2 champions, in the Final 4. Both these drivers competing since day one. The amount of tires burned here is obnoxious by these 2 drivers. But truth be told, they still make mistakes, hence why they went one more time, with Dai Yoshihara eventually getting the win.
So when I led, basically I did pretty clean, good lead run, but I guess he hit the wall. So, you know, obviously at the time I already got a really good advantage. I followed him. I was pretty close on the bank. When I transitioned, I kind of lost him, and then kind of made a big gap, but towards the end of the inner bank, I closed the gap.
FD champion, veteran versus rookie in the finals.
So first run, he led. I was following. I think I did decent, but he was just fast. He just committed. He didn't lift, so I tried to go close, but couldn't make the gap closer. I just followed really, you know, like match line, match the angle, but the proximity-wise wasn't that good.
When I was chasing, I was really kind of with Dai, so I was very happy about it. It was a good one, and I was really careful after passing the second clipping point, just not to spun out the car, because the tires were definitely on the edge of a tread. But I managed to do it. I won't forget it to the rest of my life, for sure, without a doubt. Oh man!
A new champion is crowned in the 2017 season. As the 14th season of the Formula Drift Championship comes to an end, a Formula Drift rookie ends in grand fashion at the House of Drift. The 2018 and 15th season kicks off in Long Beach next year. We'll see you then. In association with Formula Drift, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.